We make a lot of CR920s. There's a lot of different versions of this gun, and we need to do a better job explaining what they are. I'm gonna walk through these pistols and we'll do some up-close stuff and you'll get to understand them a little better. What is the first decision you need to make? The first decision you need to make is how small does it need to be, okay? And then the second decision you need to make is, do you want it to be compensated? I think if you can figure those two things out, then you have a really good chance of buying the right CR920. Okay, I'm gonna take you from smallest to largest, and I'm gonna focus in on the CRXL, and we're gonna do a little extra video on it later because I love this gun and it's so misunderstood, and I want it to be bigger than it is. All right, so the smallest version of our gun is the regular CR920. The CR920 comes with two magazines. One is a 10+1, here it is, I'll get it out of this gun. One is a 10+1 magazine, so 10+1 of 9mm, and one is a 13+1. So the 10+1 will give you not really a full grip, pinky hanging off, but it's just small enough for pocket carry. So if you're wearing your Lululemons, it's not going to fit in your pocket, but if you've got some like reasonable jeans or something on, or cargo shorts or whatever, you can carry it in a pocket, all right? Small gun. If you're familiar with like a Glock 43 size gun, or maybe a P365 size gun, SIG 365, it's in that range, okay? You would call it subcompact 9mm, very small. What's cool about the gun, what I love is, number one, it takes an optic, number two, it takes a light, and you can stick a 13+1 magazine in this thing, and now you got 14 rounds. This is like, this is like Browning high power capacity. Browning high power was a Wonder 9 back in the day, right? It's like high cap gun. This is the same in your pocket. Awesome gun. Obviously, this one's going to have the most recoil of them all, right? Small guns just are snappier, but it's usually like from you to me, so you're not trying to shoot groups at 100 yards, and you're probably fine. But if you just want something small, but you like the idea of mounting an optic, here you go. There's a CR920. All right. I said you have to decide if you want compensated or not. We're going to come back to compensated. I'm just going to focus on the uncompensated guns. The next size up from the CR920 is the CR920X. So the X is actually one of our best sellers now. I love this size gun, 15+1 magazine. By the way, you can put a 15-round magazine in the CR. It will fit, it will function, and we even make a sleeve for it and sell it on the website. So if you're interested in taking your CR920 all the way up to 15 rounds, that is possible. All right, why is the CRX so well received? One, it's 15+1 firepower in a very small gun. The only difference between this gun and the CR920 is the slightly longer grip to accommodate the couple extra rounds. We designed this grip with a pretty big upswept curve here on the bottom, which gives you a little bit more room if you have very big hands. So the gun feels kind of bigger than it is. It's a really fun gun to shoot, despite being a compact or a subcompact. I shot this gun and did reasonably well at the Area 4 Championship in production class. Okay, so it actually held its own in USPSA competition. So I'm just making the point, like, very capable gun for its size. You put a light on it, you put an optic on it, 15+1. We actually make an 18+1 extension for this gun, so you can go to 18+1 if you're really feeling frosty. That's what the CRX does, okay? Great gun. The next size up from that is the CR920XL, and this is our largest gun in the CR family, uncompensated. And people would say, why this gun? What is it for? How is it better? I would say that it really does the same thing that the CRX does, the one we just looked at, but it gives you more control and just more toleration of bad ammo, bad technique, dirty, bad conditions, whatever. This is a gun that would be the closest to a duty gun in terms of its performance. The big change is in the recoil spring assembly and the slide, which enables the slide to basically travel farther. And I'll show you that in a separate video. We won't go into it here, but you'll learn about how the CRXL design is super ammunition tolerant and is super low recoil for an uncompensated gun. Many would say it has the same recoil characteristics as our bigger MR, DR, XR models, maybe even better depending on how your hand fits the gun. So CRXL is just a longer slide. It's actually a 4.2-inch barrel, which is surprising. It's kind of hiding in there. It is a larger version of the CRX. All right, So I said the other decision you need to make is, do I want a compensated gun or not? The compensated models that we have here for the CR is essentially a comp on the subcompact CR model and a comp on the CRX model. Okay, you can think of it as, do you want 15 plus 1 or do you want 13 or 10 or 13 plus 1? This is probably the best-selling gun in the last year and a half or so. This is the CR920XP. So this gun has a comp on the front of it, takes a light, takes an optic, 15 plus 1, 18 plus 1. In a gun this size, to have that much firepower and that controllable recoil impulse is pretty awesome. This is a true compensator, folks. Okay, there's guns on the market that are being sold as having comps on them, and it's really just, you know, cuts on the slide, porting on the slide, which I'm not going to say does nothing, but it is not in the same ballpark as what this compensator does. It's just not. This is a true compensator machined out of steel with a baffle in the front and a port, and so it is it's just more effective than what you might be getting sold by other brands. The only downside of a compensator that's that effective is there's two. One is it's loud. Comped guns are loud, and that is a trade-off, right? If you touch one off, you know, in your car with you or something, that might be a kind of a life-changing experience for your hearing. So that's one thing to think about. And then the other thing is comped guns, they just need full power ammo. I'm not going to belabor that point. If you're just going to shoot cheap 115 range ammo, you probably don't want a comped gun. If you're going to run like full power ammo or certainly defense ammo, it'll run it great. Okay, so that's just one thing to think about with the comped guns. All right, so there you go. Once again, smallest CR, middle size CRX, largest fullish sort of size CRXL, comped guns, smallest CR920P, larger CR920XP. Okay? As always, post your questions. We're happy to answer them, and we'll see you next time.